In this video, I'm unboxing the new compact gear set from Wild Gears. This is version 5.0. I did a video of the first version of the compact gear set 9 years ago. Aaron Bleakley is the creator of Wild Gears, and the compact gear set is a good starter kit designed to be a complete package of fun without taking up too much space. Here we go. We have the table for the number of points, cross-referencing the inside and the outside gears. And then there's also some hints about, the donut pieces. We'll look at those. The mathematics behind Wild Gears. That's great. Some tips. When Aaron started making Wild Gears, he used a third-party service for laser cutting acrylic sheets. At the time, they were able to cut the numbers into the acrylic sheets with the laser cutter. It was hard to read them. You had to hold them to the light. Then he got his own equipment, and he was able to print the numbers and the letters and so on in frosted white on the surface. But now he's got this UV printer, which adds the numbers in black. So this is a big improvement on the original set. And he's also been adding a lot more information onto the pieces. So this is version 5. It's gone through a few iterations. Now you'll notice these little donuts. Don't throw them away. I'm going to put them in a little dish here. Okay, I'm going to pull this backing sheet off and let things fall out. And if you're wondering how to store these all together afterwards, a Ziploc bag works. Take off the other sheet. Okay, so we have a frame and we have a bunch of gears. "16 different gears of sizes from 12 to 96. There's the 12 gear, very small. The biggest one is 96. And then you have the rings. Some of them are here. Some of the gears, they're nested. So let's start playing. Let's start with the frame. One thing Aaron has done with Wild Gears is he's lined up the holes in a row, which is different from Spirograph holes in a spiral. I'm lining up the hole now with this 90-degree marker. Let's start with this. Nice, very smooth. Very smooth. Whoops. So you can still make a mistake. So you see it takes practice. So that was hole number 1. He's labeled the holes now in these sets. So I'm just going to use some different colors. I'm holding down the frame to the paper right now. You can also use putty, and I will. So I'm going to do the number 5 hole in a different blue. Now I'm going to line this other line of holes up with the same marker, and you can see that these holes will give me intermediate lines. See this light green is coming between the first 2 patterns I drew. I'm not worrying about the little mess I made there because I'm just experimenting and playing, and I might as well show you that you too will have bloopers and it's okay. Okay, I'm going to use a little putty here just to hold this down. And this is just plain poster putty. I'm just going to use the same wheel here and put it in a smaller ring. And you can see because the wheel is bigger compared to the ring, or the ring is smaller compared to the wheel, it makes a tighter kind of design. And because I've got the putty on now, the paper will move with the ring. So. I'm just going to use another color now here between. Line that up like make sure the holes are lined up with that same mark. And I don't have to reposition between every hole, which is nice. There we go. Another cool thing about wild gears that Aaron invented is different size pen holes. And what's cool about the different size pen holes is you can make parallel lines. This is where the donuts come in. So first I'm going to use this little gear to demonstrate parallel lines. So it's got a large hole here, which I will first draw with. And now I'm going to find a donut that fits in that hole, like that, and draw again. And there you have parallel lines, see? I'm just going to position this at an angle, and I'll draw it here again. Oh, that's kind of nice. I'm just going to draw another. Well, that's nice. So I'll draw it again, and this time, first let's draw without a donut. Then let's put in the fattest donut, and I'm going to use a different color. I'll take that one out. Then I'll use the next fattest, a different color pen. And finally, I'll use the thinnest donut. Thanks to all the donuts. Okay, another of my absolute favorite things to do with wild gears is the wheel within a wheel. Instead of just rotating one wheel around, you take an asymmetrical hole in a wheel and put another gear inside it. Interesting. You never know what you're going to get. I'm just going to experiment with this now. I'm going to move the inner gear over one and draw it again. And again. Okay, I'm going to leave that one there because it's pretty interesting. There's 3 gears with an asymmetric hole that you can use to explore all these little gears and what they do. So let's look again at the triangular gear. It's a 48 gear. If I tried using it in this hole, the 60, it wouldn't go around because the curvature of the longest sides there is 64, which is a bigger curvature than that ring. So it doesn't work, but it will work fine in this ring, 72. And then we'll compare it with the circular gear. Let's start with the circular gear. So here's circular gear. And it gives us a 3-pointed design. Now let's try the triangular gear, for also a 48. I'll use a different color. And I'm using this line of holes along that point to the pointy end of the gear, just for reference. So same gear, same number of teeth, different shape, but the same number of points. I'm going to take the triangular gear here, line the holes up again with the same mark, and see how those shapes evolve. And I'll do the same thing with the round gear, and then it'll be more obvious. And we're just going to fill in the holes with the B row. This was the row of holes that's labeled A. And now if we take the B roll, which I'll use in a different color, we get the intermediate. It fills in the shape. See? The triangular gear, it gives more corners and angles. I'm going to do it again, but with a different set of holes. I'm going to start on the flatter side of the triangle because there's a line of holes there. Now you can really see how the shape of the curve is different. It's still a three-pointed design, but it's angular compared to the other. I'm just going to, for fun, I'm going to continue. I'm going to keep going. Okay, I'd like to see what we can do with parallel lines in one of the biggest holes using the biggest donuts. Drawing the pattern. There, it makes a nice 5-pointed star-shaped thing. And then I'll start with the thinnest donut. Get that out of there. Take the next thinnest donut. By the way, the pens I'm using here are a cheap knockoff of the ones that I really want to get. The ones I would get would be the Stabilo .88. This was a cheap knockoff. I bought it online and can't even find it anymore. So I'd go for the real thing, but still they're fun. I got a set with 60 colors. So let's explore another thing you can do with wild gears. I already did the wheel in a wheel design where the hole was asymmetrical in the larger ring. This time the hole in this ring is not asymmetrical. So we'll draw the design that one pen hole will give. Gives a nice 6-pointed thing. Let's see how different it is when we put another gear inside it. This gear number 32. And roll these around. Will it give us the same number of points? How will it relate? It's giving us twice as many points, but they land in the same place. Isn't that interesting? Let's try another combination. Again, I'm going to make that first, and then put wheel 24 in it. There's a lot of math in this. Erin has taken each number of teeth down to prime factors. So 2 to the second, which means 2 by 2, 2 times 2, times 3 times 5. Those are the prime factors of 60. When you're predicting the number of points, you can look at the prime factors of the inside gear you're looking at and compare them to the prime factors of the outside gear. So this one is 2 to the 5. That's 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 3. And there's a little math which Erin describes nicely on the sheet, and you can predict the number of points that you're going to get. Generally, if you have a lot of factors in common, you'll get fewer points. If you don't have a lot of factors in common, you'll get a pattern with more points. There's even more math on my website, SpirographicArt.com. So I would like to try the square wheel. You can see it's not really square. It's got a curvature here, but it has a pointy corner, 4 pointy corners, and then the flatter sides. So if I take a flat side and just line up that row of holes, let's see what kind of shape we get. We'll see how that shape evolves as we go down the line of holes with different colors. Now let's try another line of holes, an asymmetrical line of holes. So let's use a line of holes like this. See the asymmetrical points? It's asymmetrical, but it's got radial symmetry. It looks more like a whirligig or a windmill. It's more kinetic than static. Now, another thing you can do instead of putty to hold down your gears is a sheet of metal that magnets will stick to. This sheet of metal that I have is from an old computer. It was the sidewall of a large computer tower. So that works great. You can also go to like an auto body shop and get a sheet of metal. It has to be ferrous metal that magnets will stick to. And these magnets they're strong magnets. And it gives a fair bit of resistance to being moved. So that can be very handy. And then you're not dealing with putty if you prefer. And the advantage of this is the putty does take up a little space between the ring and the paper. I'll do a wheel within the wheel for this. This is so much fun. Cool, eh? I'm going to try something different now. I'm going to take gear number 12 with a different color, and let's see how different this shape is. Oh, it's giving me the same number of points, but a different shape. Always a discovery. That's neat. Huh. So you see, I've been using wild gears like 10 years. I've been using Spirograph since I was a kid, but there's always things to discover. All right, I'm going to do another wheel within a wheel design on a new sheet of paper. And this time I'm going to use a little wheel that has prime factor of 7. So this is 14, 2 times 7. And I'm going to predict that this will have a lot more revolutions before we get back to the starting point. So let's see. So where will this pattern end? It always ends, even if you're covering the paper with ink. You will see a pattern. I can see where this is going. We will see a symmetrical pattern at the end of it. There we are. We got back to the starting point. And what do you see? It's a symmetrical pattern. It has 8 kind of loops of rope. Okay, now another feature of those large holes is that you can use different kinds of pens or even pencils. This is a watercolor pencil. And if I tried this on watercolor paper and then used a brush to make it fuzzy, or maybe I could take different colors. Another thing you could use with these big holes is like something as thick as a Sharpie. If you're using a Sharpie, you can mark on other kinds of materials. You could even use fabric markers. Okay, I think that's enough Sharpie solvent for me before I get high off the fumes. Here I'm using a marker it's a gel marker with different colors. I'm using gear 14, which 14, of course, has a prime factor of 7. 2 times 7 makes 14, so we get lots of points because there's no 7 in the prime factoring of 96. Let us then put in this gear that fits right in the 90. So I can try another small gear here. Okay, now I can take the next gear that fits inside there, which is 80 on the outside, 64 on the inside. Okay, so now I'm going to take this gear number 40, square gear. 64 is the largest curvature on this gear, and this is a 64 ring, so let's see how it does. It should give us a very angular shape. And I'm not going to use hole number 1 because that would overlap the last pattern I drew. I'm going to take hole number 2. Sometimes a little nudge. An 8-sided design with very sharp angles. I'm going to go over it again and then with the next hole, add a little complexity. And one more hole, why not? There. Look at the colors on that. Take out all the other gears. So that's my introduction to the new compact gear set from Wild Gears, version 5. If you want to get a set, there's a link in the description. If you use that link, you'll get $5 off your order. I do a lot of Wild Gears videos and also videos on the old Spirograph sets. So check them out and there'll be new videos coming up soon. Bye.